Hey, that's us, two chumps, Chad Wilson, Amo Calomino, and we are here with you. It's football preview time. We're going to get that done here in the Two Chumps Football Podcast. If you missed us last week, we had a bit of an announcement where we are going to flip this into, can I say it? It's a gambling show now, because that's what we do here. So gather around, ye degenerates and chumps, because we are going to break down for you today. We've got the ACC breakdown. What are the good wagers? How we think this thing is going to finish, at least the top five. We are also doing the AFC West, which is has been home of the Super Bowl champs for a good portion of the
You
last.
wanted to say it's interesting, but it really probably won't.
I almost said that, but no, it is interesting with the insertion of Harbaugh, and then we got some coaches in that division.
The off the field stories I think will be interesting. But we'll talk about when we get to the preview.
Yeah, so we're doing all that coming up on the show today. So you are definitely hit the right place if you are trying to set yourself up before the season to have a great end of the season and lay your money on some things that are going to pay dividends later. We're going to put you into some growth stocks today.
So depending on when you're watching this, well, I mean, it's always 5:00 somewhere.
Of course.
Get a little ice, pour yourself a bourbon for the next 30, 45 minutes. Maybe
you can show them what you got going on today.
I got the cigar.
Right? I should get into the cigar smoking business, but nevertheless, Emil, lead us into this thing. What are we doing today?
Well, before we get into any of that, I mean, I think we at least need to touch on the Olympics. And, you made it like we just arbitrarily became a gambling show. What we said is, listen, we'll give you a few thoughts on sports throughout the show, but most people come here because our predictions are usually really, really good. I mean, I'm not bragging. I mean, if you look at our point spread predictions, people have made money with us over the years, and yearly, we usually always turn a profit year by year. So
we have the crystal ball. We have the magic 8 ball here. So
we have the magic 8 ball. So we said, we'll throw in some opinion, but at the end of the day, what do people do anymore on sports? They gamble. It's everywhere.
Of course. Before you pay for the $5,000 package from one of the previous 1-900 guys, hey, check in with the chumps. All right. Me, Emil, we got you.
We're old enough.
Absolutely free too, by the way.
We're old enough to remember when Al Michaels would be funny on Monday Night Football by insinuating that a late touchdown or score flipped a point spread or an over-under, but he wouldn't say it out loud. We've gone from that, we're old enough to remember that, to a time now where a guy scores a touchdown and runs by a DraftKings sign.
And a FanDuel billboard or a hologram on the field. What a time we are in. But anyway,
I want to touch before we hit football. I want to touch on the Olympics, and I've got 2 points here I want to make. First, bigger one we'll save for second. I sent this to you yesterday on our group thread. It is hilarious to me. In the United States, we get the medal count, right? They always put the total medals, right? Total medals, because we are a participation trophy society anymore in the United States. And I look and go, the other day, 31 medals, the next is 21. So I'm like, I'm looking. Yeah, we got a bunch of bronze and silver. Okay, at the last time I checked, now it's changing daily. And I admit, I'm not paying too much attention to the Olympics. The opening ceremony pretty much closed me out. But the Chinese had like double our gold medal count. So I'm thinking maybe if you want to put tables in papers, you have a scoring system. Like golds are worth 5, silvers are worth 3, bronzes are worth 1. And then you tell me the total points, because I don't care if we got 31 medals when like 6 of them are gold and the Chinese have double that. That pisses me off.
Hey, you know what we are in this day and age, so we got to paint the best picture. It doesn't really matter if it's I don't want to say it's not factual. They're printing factual information, but we'll dress stuff up. We'll put lipstick on a pig. We do that kind of stuff. But let's talk about
the big story. One of my ancestors, young Italian girls, a little Rocky Balboa. She steps into the ring. Okay, this lady that she's fighting gives her 2 or 3 jabs to the nose. Boom, boom, boom. 46 seconds in, she doesn't go down. She just stops. She walks over the corner. I'm done. Well, it turns out she's never been hit like that before. Why has she never been hit like that before? Well, the lady fighting her has XY chromosomes, high testosterone level, and punches at 162% of the power of the average woman in her division. Now, you make of that what you will. I mean, I'm not going to get into that part of it, but I don't blame her. I would have quit too. I'm not going to get killed in the ring.
I'm going to have to take you and some others to task. First of all, the boxer, the Algerian boxer, Emil Khalif, if I'm saying her name right, probably had her life at risk for a certain time yesterday because the Algerians do not play this transgender LGBTQ2. They don't play that over there. So if you're trying to ride on that, you could probably lose your life. That's how serious they are about it. By the way, this I believe yesterday was started by Jake Paul, who was one of the first, or at least the first with a tremendous following to tweet on it, and it just went absolutely nuts. It was picked up by Pat McAfee on his show because I think this was going on during his show. So he kind of put it out there too. Did say, oh, well, I haven't really done any research and been following on this, but he made her a transgender, used to be man. And then, some more responsible folks who did some research went out and found out that, Khalif was born a female, but does possess, as you would call it, some heightened masculine characteristics. So she's a female, but she's got male stuff going on. So you said it was, what was the word you used? Yes, hermaphrodite. What was?
Well, that was your brother. I didn't go there. I don't know. Listen, that was your brother. All I know is, listen, as a human,
the Olympic Boxing Committee has said she was born a female. Okay, and that's the word.
That's what. Of course, they're not going to say she was born a male and we let her beat on a female. The fact of it is, her testosterone levels are through the roof. I mean,
there is such a thing.
Listen, I'm making light of this. We've got to stop this. Create a category. I'm not against whatever you want to do. Create a category. We can't have males, whatever take this case off the table. We can't have biological males playing against females. There's a reason I'm
100% with you on that. Okay. But I think we've got a person kind of caught in the middle here, Amo.
Unfortunately, right. But we can't let somebody die in a boxing ring or get their neck snapped in a wrestling match because we feel bad for one person. There's a whole group of people. We created Title IX so women would have equal opportunities in sports. And now we're turning around and saying, well, I'm like, I always kid with my friends. If I walk in and tell my wife I'm Clayton Kershaw and I put the jersey on, she doesn't call me Clayton all day. And she'd say, you're right-handed, so you're definitely not Clayton Kershaw. But
well, listen, obviously there's a tremendous gap between men and women, though society is trying to get us to say otherwise. Obviously there's a tremendous gap where we've got this born woman who's kind of not a woman in there, and she punches so hard that she made this Italian woman quit in the first round. I wasn't in that ring. I don't know if that girl should have quit. So, I mean, that's tough for me to make that call.
Well, yeah, you weren't taking it off the nose 2 or 3 times. But, I mean, what I'm saying is...
Hey, can you do your homework, though? You know this chick's got whatever going on. Yeah, like...
Putting this case aside, I mean, we've... All kidding aside, like, there's a reason when you coach Pee Wee football, there's weight limits, right? There's a reason that,
Well, not anymore. At least they don't have that down here anymore, but I get it. You're trying to protect people in sport while competing in sport.
Right. There's a reason that you say, okay, well, Class B is up to 100 pounds. We don't have a kid 140 playing because that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. I get annoyed every year when I see transgender. It's every track season. transgender,
and
winning the state 100 and 400 meters. That's
we'll get to the football, but really, all kidding aside, you never see it in the inverse. I mean, you don't see a female, born female, who thinks she's a male go play male swimming or wrestling or.
Yeah, that's a funny thing that happens there, isn't it?
Funny how that works. Anyway, let's get off that. That's enough serious stuff. We got to get back to important things. And the important thing here is last week, for those of you who missed it, we started off with our NFL college football preview. What we're doing is one conference or division each week. So last week we were on the NFC West in the NFL. Chad went chalk all the way, 49ers. He feels.
Yeah, we don't need to recap
No, I'm just because I want to talk about records and stuff. We didn't really do that. You had the 49ers, I had the Rams. In the Big 12, you like Kansas. They're getting big money there. That's if anybody else out there has an inkling on the Jayhawks, you're probably getting them at like plus 650 to win the Big 12. And that's looks to be a pretty much like a soup bowl of stuff. So, I mean, somebody could come out of there at plus 650. I have their cousins across state, Kansas State, at plus 375. Now, we wanted to talk a little bit about records. So why don't you, and I will record this for posterity, because we do review this stuff on here. We don't just give you picks and then tell you we were great. So tell me what, in the NFC West, I mean, obviously you love the 49ers and over. Give me some
Yeah, this is how I think it's going to shake out. I really like the 49ers this year. And they got the Brandon Ayuk thing fixed.
Yes.
I like them to head up this division at 14-3, believe it or not. Yeah, okay. I think they may end up with the best record in the league this year. It's now or never for the San Francisco 49ers. I think coming in second is going to be Seattle at 9-8. All right. I do. They got a brand new coach, so that could go sideways on me. But 9-8, I've got them at. The Rams, who you like, I've got them third at 8-9, and then I think Arizona is going to continue to dwell in the cellar there at 6-11. So that's how I see it shaking out: San Francisco, Seattle, LA, Arizona.
You and I are usually, without ever discussing what we're going to pick, pretty close. And this is weird this year. First division we hit in the NFL, like we kind of see it differently. And I'm more of this is more gut. I'll tell the audience that this is more my gut. I think McVay is a great coach. The Rams were 10-7 last year. They kind of straightened out Stafford's contract for one more year. They've got good receivers. They improved their offensive line. So I have an upset here. That's why I kind of like them getting at the plus 350. I have them winning the division at 11-6. And I have the 49ers on their heels at 10-7. And I just feel like the climbs up the mountain for them have been, right to the cusp of winning Super Bowls and losing. Or losing conference championship games. I think it takes its toll this year. And a few key injuries here and there, not wishing them or rooting for them. I'm just saying, statistically speaking, they've been relatively healthy with the guys that matter, like the Trent Williams, the Christian McCaffreys. I think they get a couple of those this year, and it kind of knocks them back a peg to 10-7. I have an upset here. I like the Cardinals to go 8-9. I'm a big Kyler Murray fan, and I think, yes, they don't have a ton of talent, but I think he's a very underrated NFL quarterback. And if they can keep him healthy all year, I think he'll win some games just on being Kyler Murray. And then the way the game is situated anymore, when you have a guy like him that's like a video game guy, you can win a lot of NFL games that are just crazy shootouts.
Agreed. And I am a Kyler Murray fan.
Yeah, and I think the new coach in Seattle, the change of philosophy, and I know you coach Geno Smith and you like him, and I think he's a good player, but I think the Seahawks take a major step back this year and regroup, and I got them at like 5-12. I think they're going to be a bad team. Yeah.
All right, interesting there. All right, for me, the switching really quick to the Big 12, top 5 teams. Listen, the way the conferences are now, where they've got 30 and 45 teams in a conference, we can't go through and run through all of them. So here's what I think top 5 in the Big 12 is going to be. I like Kansas, as Emil said, and getting really good odds with it. But I like them at the top at 9-3. I like Kansas State, who Emil likes. I have them at number 2, also at 9-3. Okay. I like Arizona to come up third there, 8-4. Iowa State from the old guard at number 4, also 8-4, and then TCU at 8-4. They kind of fell back off last year. I think they come back.
Now, this is where we see maybe different teams, but you and I see the same kind of conference. I see this as a muddled mess, which will be fun to watch as a fan. Okay, I've got Kansas State, same record as you, matter of fact, at 9-3, winning the conference eventually. And I have an upset here. For some reason, I love Gundy, and I think that they're going to sneak up on people. He always seems to put together a competitive team. I like Oklahoma State to also be 9-3. Then I've got Kansas, similar record to you, a game back, 8-4. Even though it's a new conference for them, I think Utah is a well-coached team. I think they go 8-4. And I have Arizona just like you do, 8-4. I think Arizona is a good team. I think the switching conference, it's going to be hard for them to win this, but I think they're going to be competitive. So that's how I see the Big 12.
All right. Well, cool. Get that down, folks. So we just want to get that on record for people here. And for those of you who care about that kind of stuff, take it and do what you will with it.
Let's give it over since we're on college. This week we focused on the ACC and the AFC West. So let's handle our business in the ACC. First of all, we're going to look at the conference here, guys. We're going to give you some who we see as a potential play if you want to throw a few shekels on a team to win the conference, and we'll give you what we see as maybe some potential over-under plays, and again, we'll give you what we think the top 5 teams will be in the conference. I personally am going to take a mini flyer. It's not a huge flyer.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like Miami to win the conference this year. They're plus 400 on the money. I don't see a runaway winner in this conference. Florida State's replacing a quarterback. Clemson's always got quarterback issues lately. So I look at third year for Cristobal in Miami. Things start to usually come together in the third year. I'm not saying you win a whole championship, but you start to see your philosophies, your recruiting classes, and I still think he's going to be successful here. So that said, I can get them at plus 400, which is third favorite to win the league anyway. It's not like I'm picking somebody from the back of the pack, according to Vegas. I'll take him at plus 400.
I after the first year with Mario Cristobal, I've said we're probably gonna get this thing really done in year 4. I'm gonna stick to that. So as much hoopla as there has been, there's a lot of hype media wise and social media wise around Miami, which I don't really care for because you just start heaping expectations there. And that can be a problem handling that. I love Cam Ward. I love that addition. That's gonna pay off. But I still think we're a year away. And so I'm going to go Florida State at plus 250. I think they're just a step ahead at the moment. They had really widened things there for a minute, but you could see even in the game last year up there in Tallahassee that Miami was closing, and I just think we're probably a year away. So I'm gonna stick to that. And Florida State's still gonna ride a little bit off of the wave of last year, and they are a motivated team because of how last year.
They're coming down to Miami this year, though, so that game.
They are, but here's a fast fact for you. We have five national titles. You want to know something that is true about every
they
one?
Won everyone on the game was on the road.
Every one of those years, the stuff got done. We did the thing when we had to go to Tallahassee.
And that's not hard to figure out if you know the cadence of the games, because all your national championships are odd year.
The
USC Notre Dame game, similarly, we play them at home even years.
So. Right. So this is an even year. We've got them at home. Crazy enough, I think we might win that game, but it might even just come down to it. If I'm off here or there, okay, because we're going to talk about how we think this is going to finish and what the records are going to be. If I'm off here or there, everything could really just come down to that game down here in Hard Rock Stadium. It could just really come down to the whole division could come down to that. The conference can come down to that, and that would be awesome. Just for college football, I think that would be a great thing, and it would also be great for us if that's what it came down to. What I am concerned about, Amo, is a 4-game stretch, 5-game stretch in the middle. That's around that Florida State game that bothers me. We could, if you are you doing anything in terms of over-unders with Miami?
Yeah, I am. And
all right, well, cool. We could jump into that when you go there because I don't have a play on the over-unders, but that's what's bothering me. Now, if you're a fan out there and you got some money and you want to split this thing 2 ways, you could put something on Florida State at plus 250 and something on Miami at plus 400 because as Emil said, it could go any way. There's a bit of a hodgepodge. He's a little higher on Clemson than I am, but that's how I see it. Florida State.
The only reason I'm higher on Clemson than you is their schedule doesn't bother me after the Georgia game as much. And, granted, they always have, in the last 4 or 5 years, it seems, quarterback issues. But they play defense. And, generally speaking, especially in this day and age, if you play solid defense in either league, usually you'll win some ball games just because no one tends to care about it.
Right. No, I agree with you, but that's how I see it at least from the conference champ perspective.
We could do the records here at the end, but let's talk a little bit over unders. I didn't see, obviously, what is there, 16, 18 teams in the ACC?
Don't ask me, man. I can't keep up anymore.
For me, 3 of them stuck out. I get Miami at plus 138, plus money if I go over 9.5. Well, if I think they're going to win the conference, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they win 10 ball games. Okay?
Yeah, you have to. I think
you
got to double digit that.
So if I can get them plus 138, if I think they're going to win the conference, I'm going to take them over 9.5. I think Miami's going to be a 10-2 team. I think, all the previous false starts, the U is back. I think they might be back. We did the whole thing with Texas for a while. Texas is back for 15 years. And finally, one day you wake up.
Man, I feel like that happened when people chilled out on that. I want folks to chill out on.
You're down in the middle of it. I'm here to assure you that up in the Northeast, everyone's chilled out about Miami. No one's talking about Miami. They're talking about Ohio State. They're talking about Penn State. I feel like Keith Jackson.
Oh, they're doing the Penn State thing this year? Great.
Yeah, we're doing that again. Until we're not. But yes, we're doing that. So anyway, I'm going to go over there. Another team I like an over on, I'm paying here on this one, minus 134. I'm going over on NC State. They're 8.5, and I think that's a 9-3 team. That program just seems to be on the cusp of being good. I mean, I don't think it'll ever be a great program, but he seems to have that going in the right direction. And I think in this conference with the right schedule and whatnot, I think that's a 9-win team. They seem solid. And then finally, I have an underplay for you. I got to pay big on this one, though. I'm paying minus 165, but I'm all over it. When I saw Cal with an over-under of 6.5, which means they're saying Cal's got to be 7-5 to hit the over on that, I don't think so. I mean, I'll pay 165 and go under 6.5. There's no way I see Cal playing all these games on the East Coast with what they're bringing from what they had going on there and stepping into the ACC and being a winning program. I just don't see it.
Oddly enough, man, that's a game for Miami I'm worried about because they've got to go out to Cal and it's fairly early in the season.
Oh yeah, well the trip out there sucks, but they've also got Cal's got a trip to Auburn on their schedule this year. I mean they've got
Auburn, Florida State, Pitt, and Wake Forest as East Coast trips.
Yeah.
I feel you. You know what was crazy? I make up my own win totals. And when I came over and looked at what the sports books, Bovada, was offering, everything was within a half game. And so, I'm in lockstep with this sports books. Except for two.
I gotta tell the audience something. You would think in this relationship, the recovering CPA like me would be the guy with the Excel spreadsheet, developing over-unders, and I'm sitting there like old school with a bourbon and a cigar, looking at this thing going, that team's not going to win 6. And I'm usually pretty good. That team's not going to win 7 games. This guy's like got formulas going here.
And hear me, the writer, the artsy guy. Yeah. I've gone all
he's got like formulas. He'll be telling me, my system says. I'm like, what system?
I've got a system, my friend, and the system has 2 total plays for me.
Okay, hit me.
Clemson 8.5. I think they're under that this year, Emil. I've seen the
I want to clarify for the audience here. We're using this one set of numbers because you can find these all over the map. Okay, you'll see some Clemson out there at 9 and maybe even 9.5. The one we're using for scoring on the show is Chad's using 8.5, and he's getting you plus 152 type money as of today. So you're getting a lower number for those of you out there, but of course, you put $100 up, you're going to win 152 if it goes under. So,
yeah, I'm all in on that, and definitely if I'm getting plus 150 for them to go under 8.5.
Offensive problems, or tell me the reason you just don't.
They want a slow decline, and I just see constant complaining by Dabo Swinney with everything that comes out. He's having a hard time adjusting to the new college football, and just what I've know over the years is when you start having that problem, your teams don't get better. So
Dabo seems like a very good guy to me. My take on Dabo is, and I've seen this in business and in life, and I always tell people the analogy I give them is you got to deal with the world the way it is, not the way you wish it was.
Not the way you envision it.
Yes.
And we saw this with Bill Belichick, did we not?
Yes.
Just a failure to adjust. And this is the best, maybe football coach in any football that's ever been, but certainly the best football coach at the NFL level. And I'm kind of seeing this with Dabo, and I just don't think you go up.
He doesn't like the college game the way it is, so he's got a couple choices. At some point, he's either going to have to say, it is what it is, I'm going to play the game the way it's set up and win in that system, or leave.
He's running out of time. He's running out of time to get that done. So I just think it's yet another step back for Clemson. I see them as a 7-5 team, so that makes under 8.5 a real easy play for me to make. And then Stanford, you've had your time. You did your thing. We'll see in another 2 decades, I guess. You're just not it. Now you've moved into a conference, albeit all by yourself. It's Stanford and all these teams in the East. And man, they're just not good right now. They're just not, they don't recruit like that. The Stanford that was doing things right after Jim Harbaugh it no longer exists. I think 3.5 is high, Emil, and we can get under that with plus 150 is what the odds we're using. Jump all over that.
I'm going to tell, for the listening audience, Stanford was a great get, though. What most fans obviously watching a football show only relate to football. But in every other sport, Stanford's a great get for the ACC, especially women's sports. Their baseball program on the men's side is really good. They have a solid basketball program, not great, but not embarrassing. So I think, you take Stanford for football, and they're down right now, and they might stay down because we were joking before the show. Stanford has these little pockets over the last 100 years. If you look at them, they'll go 7 to 10 years where they're really competitive, and then they'll go like 20 or 30 years where it's like not much.
Yeah. And they're knee deep in the middle of that. And to just move into this new conference now, them and Cal, Cal's their only pal.
Cal's their only pal.
From their old Pac-12. I just see a huge struggle.
I need to look at the schedule. Didn't they keep this year Notre Dame on the schedule? Or no?
Stanford do it?
I'm not sure. Is Notre Dame on the schedule?
I'm gonna have to check that. Did Cal even stay on it? Did they do them that solid? Yes, they did.
I think they did that, yeah.
They did. And foolishly, yes, not only did they keep Notre Dame, they're going to South Bend. So
yeah, so I mean, they don't even have a respite from the conference in where you could say they threw a couple dogs on the schedule to get the win. So
they got Cal Poly a game.
But Cal Poly is a solid.
It's tough. It's early in the year though, so you can't take a Cal Poly L. And then I would say San Jose State. But if you get to that end of the year and you are like I think you're going to be, walking around with 1 or 2 wins, playing at San Jose State, who might be playing for something, it's not a gimme. Everything else in between
is a little bit of a. Remember, San Jose State is right there, so that's like
it's a rivalry.
Yeah, San Jose State takes knocking off Stanford as more important than anybody else would. Let's put it that way. So
let me roll real quick into how I see this top 5.
Okay.
In the ACC. like I said, I'm going to begrudgingly go with FSU as number 1 at 10-2, but I will say this. There are the margin of error on that for me, just from a pure, picking standpoint, handicapping standpoint, is super slim. So this could go a tad sideways, one game here or there, and then it can all.
Now remember, we're picking this not just we're giving you the conference record, but we're picking the champion based on who wins the championship game. So, who do you have?
I'm not going that far. We aren't even. This isn't what that show.
What I'm saying is, though, you're picking Florida State to win the conference. That's the the plus.
I'm basically breaking this down with how I see the records after the regular season, like once the regular season is done. So I got Florida State at 10-2. It very well could be championship game, Miami, Florida State.
Right.
Right. So maybe there is some revenge that's gotten there. And you know me, if you won that first meeting, it's going to be very hard for you to win that second one. So Florida State 10-2. They have a bit of a tough stretch in the middle, but like I said, they've gotten there. So there's a mental thing there that they've already eclipsed. The problem for me with Miami is the stretch that begins with the trip out to Cal, traveling all the way out west can be tough. Having Mario Cristobal, who was at Oregon, will help in terms of familiarity. Then you're going to Louisville, then the Florida State game, and then you've got Duke afterwards. So you could beat Florida State, and then, you're half sleepy or celebratory, and then you got Duke, who's always tough. That 4-game stretch right there is a little worrisome for me. Again, I'm hoping I'm wrong on all of this, but so Miami at number 2, 9-3. Louisville, actually NC State, who you mentioned, I got them 3rd, 9-3. Louisville 4th at 8-4, and then North Carolina 5th at 8-4. Here's something. I didn't mention this, but if you got a little small dime there and you want to do something crazy, North Carolina's plus 2,800. Chuck a little change there if you've got extra. You never know, something wild can happen.
You and I almost see this conference identical, except we vacillate greatly on Clemson. I've got Miami winning, being first in the regular season and obviously winning the whole thing, but 10-2. Obviously, if I have them as over 9.5, they better win 10 games, and I got them winning 10 games. Other than the Georgia game, I don't really hate Clemson's schedule. Chad and I were talking a little bit off air. My thing with Clemson is they're offensively challenged, but I still consider Debo a very good coach, and he believes in defense. And I'm a big proponent in an era where everything goes one way, you still go the other. You can still win ugly football games. And see, that's the thing right now, Clemson, because they don't get a lot of style points, they'll put up a good record and everybody thinks they suck. It'll be like, oh, Clemson, they're down. What were they, 10-3 or something? They win ugly games because they play defense, and I still think they will. So I've got them 10-2, obviously making the championship game. I've got Florida State at 9-3, so we're only off a game there. I think, losing the quarterback, it's a change. I'm going to say they take a little step back, not a major step back. I think they're still a very good football team. I've got NC State just like you at 9-3. I think that's a solid program now, and they're on solid footing. And amazingly, I've got Louisville the same record as you, as 8-4. So I kind of got what has become the old guard ACC as we're changing things up in college football. I don't really see. I think Stanford and Cal will come into the league and nestle nicely right down at the bottom. It'll be no change.
Certainly at the bottom, yes.
So let's pivot here, and we're going to head to the NFL before we wrap the show up and give you our thoughts here on the AFC West. And like my friend on the previous conference, we were on the NFC West. Chad said his favorite division winner was the 49ers. Well, my favorite division winner, because I honestly don't see a way they can lose the division. The Kansas City Chiefs.
He's guaranteeing it, or your money back.
I was shocked. The money I've got on them is minus 230, and I know got to put up $230 to win 100. I almost feel like this is a mutual fund in gambling. Like Like, to me, it's like if you
There goes my accountant. There he is. He showed up
if you
finally.
just want to get guaranteed return and you don't mind tying your money up for 4 or 5 months, okay, I'm telling you, whatever your betting increments are,
Hmm.
waltz to the window with Kansas City money because they're not losing this division. Their offense can only be better than it was last year because it wasn't very good. They've added a few weapons around the perimeter, that aren't, big names, but I think they'll be better offensively. Even if they take a little step back defensively,
Mhm.
I think the improvement in offense more than offsets it. They've got Andy Reid, great coach. I just see the Chiefs, at very least, defending their division title. Now, I'm not going to go out on the limb. We'll get to that at the end of this whole thing when we start the season to pick them yet to win a Super Bowl again. I think the three-peat might be a challenge. That's never
Might be. It's never been done.
been done. So I'm going Chiefs.
Well, you mentioned mutual funds, so let's look at mutual fund performance. 2016 AFC West champion, Kansas City Chiefs. 2017 champion, Kansas City Chiefs. 2018 Kansas City Chiefs. In 2019, Kansas City Chiefs. 2020 Kansas City Chiefs. If you were looking for something different in 2021, close your eyes, Kansas City Chiefs. 2022 and 2023, Kansas City Chiefs. 8 straight wins of this division for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you wanted to get on the Chiefs, the time to do that was 2016 and 2017. And 2018, crazy enough, you could get them at plus odds. Oddly enough, 2016 plus 160. It went up the next year in 2017 plus 225. 2018, after back-to-back championships of that division, the sportsbooks doubled down and went 275, and they won it again. So
let me ask you something. Is this, if they win this year, right? That would be 9 division titles in a row. Or I should say when they win. Is that a record? I didn't
I don't know. I got to look and see what the Patriots have done. I think they might be more there. Matter of fact, while we're here, I can look that up. I'll get to that.
Patriots lost. One of those years was when Brady tore his ACL, so they may not have gone as many.
Are you sure? I think they won it anyway. I could be wrong there.
They missed the playoffs that year because even though they had a really good record, it was an odd year. We weren't up to the expanded playoff. They missed the playoffs. I think they went like 11-5 with Matt Castle and amazingly missed the playoffs that year.
Crazy enough. So I'll look that up to make sure. But yeah, we might be in record territory here. Might already be in record territory. If you're into history, guys, the great year to come up with something out of nowhere was 2011. The Broncos won the division plus 1,400. They won it with an 8-8 record, though. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I got to go with you. 8 straight. Who am I to buck that? Especially when you look at this thing, and there's a new coach in Los Angeles. There's a new coach in Las Vegas, basically with Antonio Pierce. And Denver is, it's Sean Payton, but he's in his second year there. They're just not up to speed. It doesn't look like anyone's really ready to topple the Kings at the top of this thing. So minus 230 looks good to me. That's what I would go with.
And here's the thing, and I think there's some plays here because I think the rest of the division is so bad to mediocre other than the Chiefs. When I looked at the over-unders, immediately popping off the page to me is I just think they're real low on Denver at 5.5. You don't have to obviously, you don't have to be a great football team. In the NFL, where margins are razor thin and any given Sunday, you don't have to do anything special to go 6-11, 7-10. So for me, I'm all over Denver, over 8.5, over 5.5, even money. So basically, I'm getting even money, and I've got a guy who's won a Super Bowl, and he's just got to guide his team to a 6-11 season. I'm on that. I think the Chiefs are one of the 2 or 3 best records in the league. I think I was shocked. Over 11.5 is only minus 118. I don't see how the Chiefs don't win 12 games minimum. So I'm going to go over 11.5 at minus 118. And then finally, I got under 8.5 at plus 130. I'm getting plus money on the Chargers. And I know I'm a Harbaugh fan, and I think he'll eventually get this program on solid footing. But I'm not a big Justin Herbert fan. I think he's probably one of these guys that gets a lot more attention than his actual play when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
He looks the part. Chad and I have talked about this for a couple of years now. He looks the part.
Prototype. He's the prototype.
But and I think Harbaugh's going to have some adjustments. Herbert's going to want to throw the ball. Jim's going to want to run the ball, and there could be a little rub there. I don't know, but I'm going under 8.5 at plus 130 on the Chargers.
Yeah, I only have 2 total plays here, but checking on what we were talking about in the last, the last part, the Patriots 11 division championships in a row from 2009 to 2019. You were accurate in that 2008. They did not. All right. They had the same record as the Dolphins, but apparently lost on the tiebreaker. Prior to that, Emil, 5 more wins between that. So they really could have been on a 17-year stretch of winning that. That's insane. That's really crazy.
It is insane.
But yeah, the record is 11 in a row by the Patriots from 2009 to 2009.
That is nuts.
Yeah, so the Chiefs still got a ways to go. I only like 2 total plays here. And one is I'm with you, Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're a 13-win team, so 11.5 at minus 118 is good money. That's a good solid bet right there. And then I like the Broncos, man, to be over 5.5, especially at minus 102.
Wow, we're on the same game.
I just think there was too much going on there last year, too much tension at the 2 most important spots, which is head coach and quarterback. There just wasn't any unity there, and you could blame who you want for it, but it's a thing, and it got in the way. I think they really, really have something in Bo Nix. There'll be early struggles, of course. But I just think he's a more athletic Drew Brees, and they like him, and the Broncos still play good defense. A la minus Justin Simmons. I'm still pissed off about that.
Is he signed, by the way?
No, he's still out there. He's a vet, Emil. He's not doing training camp, all right? So
no, he's going to wait, and invariably,
and he can,
his price will go up because someone, unfortunately, will get hurt in the preseason.
Or you don't think you have what you need back there. So Justin Simmons, Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, they'll jump in there in that last week. These guys are vets. They know what the deal is. But anyway, those are the only 2 plays I really like. The Chargers I have as a 9-win team. They're 8.5. I don't want to play around with that. And I've got Las Vegas. I've got the Raiders at 6. It's 6.5. I don't want to play around with that.
Well, I mean, here's the way I see it shaking out. I mean, record-wise, I have the Chiefs, like you said just before in the segment. You said you had them as a 13-win team. It's exactly what I have them as, 13-4. I got the Chargers at 7-10. I'm going to tell you, one thing. I know he'll want to run the ball. I don't know who they're going to throw the ball to necessarily yet. We'll find out. But, I can't feel bad for them because my team doesn't have a guy that is probably one of the 3 best receivers in the league. So I don't know who we're going to throw the ball to. So I can't feel bad for the Chargers. I got them at 7-10. I got the Broncos, same record, 7-10. I think they're a lot better than people think because of their defense. I got the Raiders dead last. I don't know who their quarterback will be. I don't care. I know they got the kid from Miami playing defensive tackle, and that should be a nice combination. Crosby, Wilkins, I think his name is.
Yeah.
So, defensively, maybe they're a little better, but they have nothing on the back end of their defense. No quarterback. That's a 6-11 team to me, and they have fun on the strip.
Well, we definitely see this close to the same. I almost had all these guys with losing records, but I got the Chiefs leading this thing up with 13-4. I like the Chargers at 9-8. I think Harbaugh really has his team by the middle of the year moving and looking good, and you can think really good about the next year with them. The guy can coach football, and I'm interested in really seeing how Justin Herbert fares in a Harbaugh offense. Is that probably more suited for him? I'm anxious to see that. So, I think they end up being the only other team with a winning record, 9-8. I've got Denver at 7-10. I've already told you some of the reasons there. And then the Raiders, like you, I think they're a 6-11 football team. That's how I see it shaking out.
When they moved years ago, before we sign off, I have to say, when the Raiders moved to Vegas, I knew it was a great coup for the ownership because, your stadium should always do, they have a nice stadium and it's a destination, right? So if you're looking for a game to go, right, you're a Cowboy fan, you say, well, hey, if I've already seen Texas, the Cowboy Stadium, I'll go see them in Vegas. Or if you're a Dolphin fan, I'll go see them. I always felt this is going to be hard for them to ever make work because you got a group of guys generally under the age of 30 running around Las Vegas from late August until the end to early January. It always
and the early returns on that, the early reports on that have not been good. A couple of tragic things, some lost first round players that you can maybe chalk up to that. But they're the Raiders. They're going to do Raider things. It's not like they were killing it in Oakland anymore. And that Oakland just seems like a dead place for sports at this point. So, it just kind of is what it is there at the moment. So that's it, man. That's how we see it. By the way, they got a lovely stadium. I've been in there. Allegiant is one of the better stadiums in.
It's hard for guys our age. People younger, just They don't care. Like for us, like the Raiders were a whole different era, and like for me now they are is the laundry from the Raiders and the cool song.
That's what it is.
That's about it.
I think it would be good for all of football if they could somehow get back into the consciousness and do some good things there. But that is it for us. We've got you up to date on the ACC and the AFC West. What do we got next week, Emil? What are we rolling with? I think we're rolling.
You tell me.
We are rolling with the NFC South. No. Yes. No.
We can do
what we got here.
We'll hit the NFC South. Somebody has to pick it. We will.
Yeah, I think we're going AFC South and SEC next week. So you want to?
Wow, the SEC's up and cue up the SEC.
Or you know what? I could be wrong. I could be reading the schedule wrong here. I need to go take a lap. I tell you what, folks, we got more for you next week.
Hire the producer.
See what we're coming with next week, and definitely be here because we're gonna have you straight.
Guys, listen, we're taping this show. You're gonna see it around August 2nd or 3rd. We're like literally 3.5 weeks out from real college football games. I mean, they may not be the best games, but they're real games.
Yeah, and we're going to run you into this thing full speed. So we're going to have you set up before the season, and we're going to lay it out for you during the season. And that means you just got to cash checks when the season is over. But that's it for us. It's Two Chumps Football Podcast. He's Emil Calomino. I'm Chad Wilson. We're out of here. See you guys next week.